Hi, I'm Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now and principal of the Blankfeld Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. We have prepared this video for you so you can better understand the documents we use here in Southern Nevada. And while we don't review every section of the document, we do try to clear up some of the most relevant concerns. We are recording this video in 2025, and if you're watching it long after that, know that there are likely changes that have taken place with this document, and this video may have some parts that are outdated. Also know that we operate here in Southern Nevada, and these forms are specific to our market. While you may be able to glean some value from this video, please know that no two markets operate exactly alike. And finally, I need you to know that I'm not an attorney, and none of what I'm explaining should be interpreted as legal advice. Okay, let's get started. Okay, this is the Exclusive Buyer Representation Agreement, or the new acronym is EBRA. This is the document we use whenever we're working with a buyer and they want to buy a property here. As a realtor, the new rules are set out by the NVR settlement that as a realtor, I must have a written agreement that delineates compensation before I can even show a potential buyer of property. So now I want you to equate this to a listing agreement. We're not allowed to sell a house until we have a written agreement with a seller. Now we're not allowed to help you buy a home until we have a written agreement with a buyer. Now, I want to point out, as of the taping of this, which is in October of 2024, and this is a fairly new concept, most sellers are helping buyers with this cost still. It's not a promise that it will happen going forward. It's not a promise that it will happen right now, but that's what's happening for the most part. And I think sellers understand that buyers are already come up with a lot of cash to do a deal, and if they need additional help, sellers are prepared to do it. In addition to that, lenders are still treating the buyer broker compensation as a seller expense. And so, in other words, if a loan program is capped at a certain amount of cooperation that a seller can provide to a buyer to help them pay closing costs, this does not count towards that. So a seller could, in essence, give a buyer enough money to help cover the cost of their agent, and in addition to that, give them enough money to help cover the cost of their closing costs. Having said that, let's talk about the document itself now. Okay, so right up front, you've got your buyers, Fred and Wilma. You've got me. I'm their agent. They do not currently have an agreement with anybody else. This defines who they are and who we are. It tells it there's a time frame on this. It could be 30 days, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 months, but it could be no more than a year here in Nevada. We're looking at residential properties, and we've limited our scope to Clark County. Now, that scope could be a geographic area, it could be a type of property. You could say, I only want to look at townhomes. Whatever it is that you want to talk about specifically, you can limit that and negotiate that between agent and buyer. The buyer's obliged to help out and do all the things necessary to help lead to a successful closing. If you're looking at a new home, this reminds you, if you're looking at a new home, be careful. Don't go to the home without your agent, because if you do, then the builder might decide not to help you pay your agent, and you might be subject to having to pay your agent yourself. So you don't want to do that. So especially new homes. So make sure you bring your agent with you on every new home that you go look at, so that the builder can pay them for you, okay? Broker's obligations. These are the duties that a broker owes to their buyer. It's also delineated in our duties owed here in the state of Nevada. But they must also help assist and help them find terms that are acceptable. And I want to point this out. Some buyers are kind of afraid, well, gee, it sounds to me like the cost of buying a home just went up. Well, not necessarily. As I just said, the sellers might be able to help you. And you're not going to sign any kind of a deal you can't afford. So all the terms in the contract ultimately have to be acceptable to the buyer, okay? The broker's compensation is fully negotiable, and the broker is prohibited from receiving compensation from a source that exceeds more than this amount. So what does that mean? The broker can't take more than what this says here. Now, in this case, I'm asking for 3% and an additional $350 to cover what we call our BAC at Berkshire Hathaway. So if a seller, maybe a builder, is offering 4%, I can't get any more than 3%. I'm still going to get 3%. Now, if that's happening, I'm going to talk to the builder and say, listen, builder, I know you're offering 4%. I can only get 3%. I want you to give the other 1% to my buyer. That's what I would do. Not every agent's going to do that, and not every builder is going to allow that. But that's what would happen. So that's why you're going to see agents talk to you about the cap. Now, can an agent go down in commission? Theoretically, they can. They have to have broker's permission to do so, and some will and some won't. Moving on. Compensation shall be due to the broker within 120 days after this agreement. If you see a property, in other words, if you fire your agent and you still buy a property that the agent showed you, you're still going to owe that agent money within 120 days after this agreement, provided you've received that list of properties within 15 days, or if you've already received the list up front when you saw them, you're still going to owe that broker a commission if you buy that home. So once you see a home with a broker, you pretty much want to stick with that broker and not jump around to a different one. The commission is negotiable. There's no fixed commissions here. I'm asking for 3% in this case. Some agents might ask for less, some might ask for more. That the buyer's acknowledging in this contract that they've negotiated and are willing to pay those fees if necessary. Again, your deal might be contingent upon the idea that you need cost help from the seller, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you can't get the cost, then you don't have sufficient funds to pay your buyer's agent. That's kind of okay too. You just can't buy that house. And that's the unfortunate nature of this thing. Real estate commissions are not linked to mortgage loan production. In other words, you can't roll buyer's agent commission into the loan. Can't do that. But as I said before, you can get the seller to help you pay it. And the lender's going to look at that as though it's a normal seller cost. So you can still get that plus maybe additional help in closing costs. This also says that you should consult with experts. We're salespeople. That's what we do. We're not attorneys. We're not CPAs. We're not home inspectors. We're salespeople. We're here to help you find a great home and help you get a great deal. We're subject to the Code of Ethics. As a realtor, we're subject to the Code of Ethics. And I actually sit on the grievance committee here at Southern Nevada at the board of LVR. And I can tell you that we are very cautious and careful about how we deal with people. And we are very diligent in the way we try to protect, particularly our clients, from brokers who may not be behaving in the proper fashion. So that's what this is all about. You also have to acknowledge that just because I show you a home as your agent doesn't mean I can't show it to other potential buyers. Now, if I do that, I would hope that I would disclose that. So yes, by the way, I have another buyer interested in this home as well. You would need to know that. And in that case, we probably want to do a consent to act to make sure that you understand that this home is being showed to more than one of my clients. And that can happen when the market's really tight. Doesn't happen very often, but it could happen. Mediation, you're agreeing to mediation before arbitration or a lawsuit. Doesn't mean you can't eventually go to a lawsuit or arbitration. Down here it says if the buyer's in default, the broker might still be able to get that commission. If the broker's in default, the buyer has the ability to exercise any and all remedies. If there is a lawsuit, the loser is going to be paying everybody's attorney's fees. The only way this agreement can be modified is in writing and is signed and dated by all parties. And then down here is where you're going to be signing. Has your information, has the broker's information. This document is actually between you and our broker. I'm your agent, but Forrest Barbie in this case is my broker. This agreement's between you and him. If there becomes an issue, if you're unhappy with me and my service, you can reach out to the broker and say, look, I'm not happy with Harvey. I want somebody else. And the broker can assign you to somebody else because it's actually the broker's contract. And that is, in fact, your EBRA, your Exclusive Buyer's Representation Agreement. Hope this is helpful.
I hope you found this video helpful. Please feel free to review our other videos at www.lbrealestateradio.com. And once again, thank you for taking the time to learn about this document. And if you have any questions, just call or text me at 702-203-1165.